Hi, I'm Adan.
And I'm Felicia.
And together we're AJ Lowe, the writers of the Sherlock Sam series of children's books. And today we're here to answer the questions that you guys asked us.
And at the end of the video, we'll be picking our favorite question, so stick around to find out if you're the winner of an Epigram Books voucher.
Now let's get to the questions. First two questions come from Monica Christine. Her first question is, why is Watson so grumpy and why is Sherlock so chubby?
The reason why Watson is so grumpy is because he's made of recycled parts, like old radio parts, television parts, microwave parts, and all his parts are over 20, 30 years old. So all his insides are kind of creaky, and that's the reason why he's very, very grumpy.
If your insides were old, you'd be grumpy too.
And the reason why Sherlock is so chubby is because he really, really likes to eat food.
He's always eating new things, and he's always eating his favorite foods. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Her second question, Monica Christine, is, what name did Sherlock want to name Watson before Dad crashed into his room?
The answer can actually be found in book 1, but we're going to spoil it a little bit. It's Watson's name was supposed to be Mega Destro Technobot.
Yes. Our next two questions come from Vivian Teo Reiter. Her first question is, what are some of your favorite middle grade books and why?
That's a tough question for us because we really like to read a lot of children's books and middle grade books. But I think recently we've been reading a lot of Rebecca Stead, and she's become one of our favorite middle grade writers. And when we were growing up, we really liked reading Nancy Drew and a lot of other mystery novels.
Rebecca Stead actually has a new book coming out soonish, and we're very excited to get our hands on it. I also personally like Celia Perez. She's put out 2 books so far. The first one is called The First Rule of Punk that I really, really enjoyed. I've not read the second one yet, though. Vivian Teo Reiter's second question is, and this is also a tough one, if you have to live in a book as a character for the rest of your life, which book and character would you choose, excluding the Sherlock Sam books, so that we can't cheat?
I would pick Yotsuba from Kiyohiko Azuma's Yotsuba N. It's because Yotsuba always finds everything very amazing and wonderful in the world, and I kind of want to live life through her eyes.
Yotsuba is a 4-year-old girl in the comic, and she finds everything amazing. Yeah, I would like to be El Médico Místico from the Doctor Strange comics in Marvel Comics, right? So El Médico Místico is Spanish for the mystic medic. And basically he is a magician who solves problems using magic. And he's kind of like Doctor Strange in that way. But I like him a lot because he's always talking about how great Mexico is and how proud he is to be from Mexico. It's very cool. Our next 2 questions come from Xavier Tay. The first question is, why does Sherlock keep eating?
That's quite simple. It's because food is delicious and he loves it.
Also, if he didn't eat, he wouldn't be able to survive. So it's important to eat. His second question is, how many batteries are needed to fully charge Watson?
We don't actually know, and Watson won't tell us.
Yeah.
But we suspect that he doesn't actually need the batteries because he can also plug himself into a socket and charge himself with electricity. But
so we think he's just collecting these batteries for some other reason. We hope it's not to take over the world or anything. The next question comes from Not in a Sarong. And they ask, how many cans of WD-40 does Watson go through in a month, especially in this humid climate? So for those of you who don't know, WD-40 is a type of lubricant that you use on cars and things like this. Well, various uses, not just cars, but all sorts of places. Anything that needs a lubricant. When you got a squeaky door frame, you can use WD-40 for that.
So Watson actually doesn't need any lubricant. He was created by Sherlock and his dad to make him rust-proof and creak-proof on the outsides, mechanically. But Watson likes to pretend that he rusts. So the answer is Watson would not need any cans of WD-40, despite what he might say.
Just don't believe him when he says that he's going to rust. Our next question comes from KQKY, and they ask, they asked Watson, actually. They asked Watson, what is the square root of -1? So we went and asked Watson, and Watson said that, let me read here. Watson says that the square root of -1 is I.
The letter I.
The letter I, which is an imaginary number. Apparently that's what it stands for. Now, he wouldn't elaborate on how a number could be imaginary, but he insisted that I, the imaginary number, is very important for advanced calculus and theoretical physics, but also the electricity that powers all of our devices. We don't really understand that. Math is not our strong suit, but we trust Watson. At least we trust Watson when it comes to math. Our next question comes from Very Colorful. And they ask, it's related to the previous question actually. They ask, why does Sherlock like math?
Sherlock likes math because he finds it very, very fun. He likes it because he thinks it's very logical and every problem to him has an answer, even if we haven't discovered it yet.
Yeah.
That's why he really likes math. And also, Very Colorful says, we can't wait for the next Sherlock Sam to be out. Yay! Thank you.
Our next question comes from
Schwenvatar.
Schwenvatar. Sorry if we mispronounced your handle.
The question is, pretend you're an alien roaming on Earth. Where would you go and what would you do and why?
So if we were aliens, we'd probably go to Pulau Ubin because we heard there are other aliens there. We're not sure if that's true or not, but we're going to go check it out.
The next question comes from YW Chal.
Chal.
Chal? Chall. Yeah.
Yes.
What does Watson really think about Sherlock?
So Watson thinks of Sherlock as his annoying big brother. He loves him, but he wishes he'd stop telling him what to do. Watson also thinks Sherlock is a very good detective, but he would appreciate it if you didn't tell Sherlock he said that.
The next question is by Photobomber3007. This is an interesting question. It asks, was Sherlock's father ever a clandestine? I'm sorry. Detective.
Clandestine means like undercover or secret. Yeah. Well, the answer is no. Dad was never a detective. Dad has always wanted to be an engineer, which is a kind of detective if you think about it, because engineers are always trying to figure out how things work. And that is what Dad does all the time, is try to figure out how things work, reverse engineer it, build new stuff that might use what he's learned. So yeah, he's always wanted to be an engineer.
The next question is by Clyroof Mark. And on behalf of the person's Sherlock Sam fan, asks, what does AD on Sherlock Sam's t-shirt stand for?
So AD on Sherlock Sam's t-shirt stands for the fictitious element adamantium. It's not a real element, and it only exists in comic books and movies that feature Wolverine because it's all over his bones. That's why he has metal claws and metal bones. It's the element adamantium, which again, not real, unfortunately. The next question comes from Apollos Michio Reads, and they ask, what are our favorite movies?
We actually watch a lot of movies and we have quite a lot of favorite movies. But I think recently we've been watching a lot of Studio Ghibli movies. So like My Neighbor Totoro and My Cat Returns. And I think those are our favorite movies for right now.
Most of them are very uplifting and very fun and very adventurous. Yeah. Next question comes from The Head Librarian Reads.
Which is Sherlock Sam's favorite adventure? That's a tough one.
But we think, we asked Sherlock, and Sherlock told us that his favorite adventure is whatever one he's on at that particular moment. Because remember, Sherlock loves solving mysteries, right? That's one of his big things. And if a mystery is already solved, that's going to be less interesting to him. He'd rather tackle the new mystery, solve the new thing. That's what he finds the most fun. So whatever adventure he's on now, that's going to be his favorite.
Next question is from Sandra Field, and she asks, how old is Bok Joo? Bok Joo is actually a character in Sherlock Sam and the Mysterious Mastermind in Seoul, and also a character in Sherlock Sam and the Fiendish Mastermind in London.
Fiendish Heist.
Fiendish Heist in London.
And she is the same age as Sherlock, actually. So right now she would be 11 years old in the latest book.
The next question is from
Imagination. And they ask, what is our favorite junk food? My favorite junk food are potato chips. I love potato chips. Any flavor can.
My favorite junk food is chicken wings. And Sherlock's
we
favorite
asked Sherlock,
junk food,
and Sherlock's favorite junk food, he said everything. All of them. Yeah, everything. Our next question is from It's Ting Jun here.
Yeah.
Hi, Ting Jun. I'm glad you were here. And they ask, how much food does Sherlock Sam eat every single day? And what type of food does he like?
Well, he kind of eats all your basic meals. So like breakfast, lunch, dinner. And then he also has second breakfast. And he has brunch. And he has tea. And he has a cake break. And he has supper. And the occasional snacks for Kongguan biscuits.
Or 5.
And, yeah.
Or 5 snacks.
And he likes all kinds of foods and is willing to try anything and everything at least once.
Yes, he's very good about that. He will always try anything he's never eaten before. He'll try it at least once to make sure to find out if it's delicious or not. Yeah. Next question is from Sherry Go, who was our previous editor. Hi, Sherry. And she asks, what Sherlock Sam character are each of you the most like?
I think there's a lot of us in every single one of our characters, but I think I am probably most like Wendy.
Jimmy. What?
No, Wendy.
You're totally like Jimmy.
No, you're like Jimmy.
No, you're like Jimmy.
No. I'm more like Wendy. You're like Jimmy.
You're like
But the reason why I'm more like Wendy is because 1, her hair is always messy like mine. 2, she's really bad at Mandarin. And 3, she always gets a lot of mosquito bites.
She's actually most like Jimmy because she's ridiculous and she falls down a lot. I am most like Dad because Dad is ridiculous. He gets excited about everything. He likes red vines. I'm not an engineer, but I wish I was.
I actually think you're more like Inspector Lestrade.
How?
Inspector Lestrade and Jimmy tie for the most ridiculous character
Like
in all our
Inspector
books. Yeah.
All right, and our next and final question is from Yuzu Wafu. And they ask, when is our next book? Well, everything's a little bit up in the air right now, but hopefully, if everything goes right, our next book will be out in October this year. And it's called, or will be called, soon to be called, Sherlock Sam and the Seafaring Scourge. Scourge? Sherlock Sam and the Seafaring Scourge on Sentosa. And yeah, if everything goes the way we think it's going to go, it should be out by October this year. So thanks everybody for your questions.
And now we have to pick.
Yes, now it's time for us to pick our favorite question. They're all really good questions, but we have to pick one. And we think our favorite question is the one asked by Y.W. Chall, who asked us what Watson really thinks about Sherlock. It's a very good question. I think Watson had to think really hard about it. We had to think really hard about it. But yeah, it's a very good question. So thank you very much, Y.W. Chall. You are our winner. And you will be winning a voucher.
I think someone for Epigram will get in touch with you. But if you guys have any more questions that you want to ask us or Sherlock or Watson of any of the members of the Supper Club, feel free to drop us a note on Instagram or Epigram as well.
Or Facebook or our website, which has been recently redesigned. Or send us an email. We have lots of places. We always answer questions that we get. So please do ask us any questions you have. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We hope you learned a lot about Sherlock and Watson and the two of us. And we hope you have a good time and are staying safe and are staying inside until the circuit breaker period is over. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.